of the national exams at a primary level, that is the Kenya Certificate of Primary, undertaken by grade 6. Day 1 was marred with a little bit of hitches here and there, minor hitches, logistic issues, but there's a worrying trend that came out from day 1. The issue to do with teenage pregnancies. I'll be giving you the number of students who sat for the exam at the hospital beds and also who are in class while pregnant at a KCP level, that is class 8, and also at grade 6. And also there was an issue in regards to the picking of papers in some regions in the country, but the Cabinet Secretary for Education yesterday said that he ensured that these exams will be credible. Another thing today, it will mark day 2 of celebrations in the country for football enthusiasts as FIFA lifts the ban on Kenya in regards to football. Now let's get straight into it. Let's take a look at the stories I'm made top of the page of the 3 local dailies I'm having in studio. First, I'll give you a sneak peek before we get and delve into the matters, have an in-depth analysis, talk about them, get to understand them. The Standard this morning talks about court stops GMOs as Linturi disowns Kuria. Same cabinet, different scripts. We'll get to talk about that in just a few. And also United for Peace in DRC for the first time since the inauguration to Kasarani, President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta came eye to eye yesterday in Nairobi as the third pitch talk in regards to restoring peace in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is concerned. There was a meeting in Nairobi that was chaired by the chairperson of the East African Community, that is the president of Burundi, Eva Sirise Ndayishimiye. We shall also get to talk about that in just a few and have an in-depth analysis about it. The Standard also talk about exams begin in earnest in spite of small hitches, and also back in business while lifting of FIFA ban is a big deal. This is how the Standard looks like this morning in the country. The Star talks about Raila to meet MPs as a stage set for demos. Extremely important meeting is meant to build consensus. Wiper supports anti-Ruto meetings. KANU disowns the plan. The president also talked about it yesterday while officiating the launch at Twiga. We also get to talk about that. And mamas in KDF as 130 million Kenyan shillings deducted for hunger kitty. This happened when the deputy president was launching the committee to deal with the hunger crisis in the country. He also called on salaried MPs, not MPs rather, Kenyans, Kenyans to literally come in, chip in, and help in feeding fellow Kenyans. She also get to talk about that. And also English challenge for Pioneer CBC class as grade 6 exams start. I'll prove there was a plot to assassinate President Ruto. Itumbi tells court, and also mother and son commit suicide within hours of each other in Kinangop. Sad story there from Kinangop, whereby a mother hanged herself, then 3 hours after she dies, the son does the same. She also get to talk about that in a few. But top of the page, the picture of President William Ruto, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and EAC chairperson, that is the Burundi president, has also made it top of the page, and also a student sitting for the national exams, and also the deputy president there, just calling on Kenyans to help fellow Kenyans. But members in KDF is 130 million Kenyan shillings deducted for hunger kitty. The Daily Nation this morning talks about delayed windfall, 5,000 the chief administrative secretary's jobs. Long wait. Hundreds of President William Ruto's supporters are waiting the shortlist from the Public Service Commission with bated breath because the position of Chief Administrative Secretary offers them the biggest chance to serve in government. The head of state is staring at yet another appointment crisis. The issue to do with the creation of the Chief Administrative Secretary position is in court, and we saw that the Labour Court said it has the jurisdiction to literally hear the matter. She also gets to talk about that. It's all about rewarding your lieutenants, those who stood by you, with you, when you were campaigning. That is regards to President William Ruto. Another appointment crisis. He has to literally reward the lieutenants, the likes of former Senator Cleophas Malala, the likes of former Governor Mike Sonko, the likes of former Governor Kodho Bado, the likes of former Senator Millicent Omanga, the likes of former Member of Parliament Purity Wangui Girishi, the likes of former CS Rashid Echesa, the likes of former Member of Parliament Chris Wamalwa, and also the list is long. She also gets to talk about it as close to 5,000 people literally tried to get to the president. Now, reprieve for farmers as court puts the brakes on GMO imports. Hope for peace in Congo as EAC leaders back ongoing talks. Show of class as Ghana, Cameroon shine in Qatar. Test of a lifetime of primary pupils in regards to the ongoing exams. But this is how the Daily Nation looks like this morning in the country. Let's talk about the biggest story in the country. What is ongoing in the country? Let's talk about exams in the country. 2 exams, one-of-a-kind examination period in the country. One-of-a-kind examination period in the country, whereby now we are getting to see 2 examinations being held at primary level. One ushering out the 844 system that was launched in 1985, and the other one ushering in the new system that is skill-based, that is not theoretical, that is CBC, competency-based curriculum. Although there is an issue surrounding the placement of the junior high students, but the CS for Education says that the matter lies in the hands of the president after the task force has literally completed their findings and the review. Day 1 was marred with hitches here and there, logistic issues, but it was a success. Day 1 was a success across the counties. The government used all the means possible to literally ensure that grade 6 and class 8 pupils sit for these exams. Where helicopters were needed, they were used. Where boats were needed, they were used. Where buses were needed, they were used. There was also a beautiful picture of secondary schools in the country helping primary schools in ensuring that these exams are delivered in time. Now, the biggest issue this morning will be about the findings after the exam. I'll start by talking about what the Star talks about this morning. And the Star talks about English challenge for Pioneer CBC classes grade 6 exams start. Questions for Pioneer grade 6 exams were too wordy and complicated for rural candidates, teachers did tell the local daily. Now, candidates answer for the mathematics and English papers on Monday. That was day 1. Those who are involved, stakeholders in these exams, will say that the grade 6 English paper exams or the exams were wordy. Now, teachers said tests were up to the expected standard but faulted the language used. We are talking about English in this manner. Teachers in Machakos said the English used in exams was too technical for the young learners. The teacher said grade 6 candidates had difficulty tackling the mathematics exam. Another teacher who did not want to be named said children in urban areas like in Nairobi found the English paper easy, but children in rural areas had a hard time in literally breaking down some of these questions. Some of the teachers say the English used was technical. They talked about the differences between the urban student and the rural student. They say English will be fair for the urban student, but will be a nightmare for the rural student. And in Kakamega, teachers said they were barred from accessing grade 6 exams for credibility. The government had directed teachers not to talk about the exam, and their access to papers was limited. That is as far as grade 6 exams are concerned. Remember, these are the first cohort of the CBC to literally do the exams. Now, let's talk about another thing. The Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and Examination, the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment started throughout the country yesterday with some logistic issues reported. The examination papers were delivered by boat to Remba, Ringiti, Mfangano and Kibugi Islands in Lake Victoria, while helicopters were used to take the materials to far-flung areas in Tana River County and the northeastern region. In Lamu County, 28 grade 6 candidates from the terror-prone Boni Forest were airlifted in military helicopter to Fazi Secondary School, where they are sitting for the exams. Let's talk about how the government dealt with some of these areas that are insecure, and some of these areas that we were looking at how the government was going to deal with them. We had areas that roads were impassable. We had areas that could not be accessed. These examination centers could not be accessed, but the government, the ministry was prepared for these. And I've talked about some of the areas that needed boats to be used. They were used. Some of the areas that needed helicopters to be used, they were used. In Tana River and also in Garissa, in the northern part of the country, some of these areas had a little bit of heavy downpour before the onset of the examination themselves. That is why some of the roads were impassable. The government had to use helicopters. Now, the Kenya Defence Forces airlifted all pupils sitting the primary school national examinations from the Boni Forest to further secondary school in Lamu. The learners are set to return to Boni after the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment and Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams are complete. Lamu County Commissioner Mashario Irungu said the 28 candidates were airlifted because the respective schools were not registered as examination centers. He said the move shows the national government's committed to the 100% transition policy that was started by the then Education CS Professor George Magoha. Now, moving on. I also say that regardless of where the students are based, 5 of the Boni schools had been closed 4 years ago due to insecurity fears stemming from frequent Al-Shabaab attacks on schools such as Mangani Primary. It was closed after a part of its roof was set ablaze. Other affected schools are Basuba, Milimani, Mararani and Kiangwe, which have remained closed since 2014 following attacks by suspected Al-Shabaab militants. However, the schools reopened following national government's intervention under Operation Amani Boni. Masharia said the candidates will have full-time security until the exams are over. Elsewhere, some KCPE and KPCEA candidates were forced to sit in hospital, and 4 KCPE candidates wrote the examinations in hospital beds at Busia Referral Hospital. Busia Deputy County Commissioner Kipchumba Ruto said the girls managed to sit the exams. Cases of some schools failing to pick papers from exam centers were also reported in some areas, and in Uasin Gishu County, 52 centers failed to pick papers, while the same was reported in Bungoma as 15 schools failed to pick the exam papers. Schools that failed to pick papers in Bungoma include Gateway Primary Bridge School, Kibabi and Jamia Primary, according to Bungoma South Deputy Commissioner Duncan Okwacha. He was talking to the members of the fourth state at the Bungoma DEB primary yesterday that the affected schools were mostly private schools that were closed by the Education Ministry for not complying with set requirements. Bungoma County Director of Education Philip Churchill said he will establish what transpired in the 15 schools. We had a little bit of hitches here and there in terms of logistics, but it was a success. Day one was a success. But we had some worrying trends in some regions that were registered yesterday, and it breaks my heart to literally read this morning. It breaks me to literally talk about this, and that was recorded at the start of the KCPE and the KPSE exams in the country. At least 317 pregnant girls were among thousands of candidates who sat the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment Test and the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations in South Rift counties. Now, according to the Daily Nation, the Standard, it recorded that 292 cases of pregnant girls who sat the examinations in Baringo, Bomet, and Nakuru counties. In Naivasha sub-county, 25 pregnant girls are sitting national exams that started yesterday. Of the number, 7 are KCPE candidates, while the other 18 are grade 6 students. And rather not grade 6, but KCSE students. Now, a record 102 pregnant girls were among the candidates who wrote the examinations in Bomet County. Director of Education Apollo Opuko said 18 of them are sitting KCPE, while one girl is writing her grade 6 exams. We are having a student who is in grade 6 who is literally writing her exams while pregnant. Apollo said 83 other pregnant girls are set to sit KCSE exams. And talking about KCSE, there's a student who lost her life in the country while giving birth. She was set to sit for the KCPE exams. Now, speaking during the distribution of examination materials at the Bomet Central Depot, Apuko said the 19 candidates are distributed in centers in Sotik, Bomet East, Bomet Central, Chepalung, and Koinin. The director said proper security measures have been taken to ensure candidates are protected. We're talking about the Rift Valley region, whereby now the South Rift counties that have recorded the highest number of students sitting for the KCPE exams while pregnant. Now let's talk about something else, but as far as exams are concerned, that is it in the country. Day one was a success. A little bit of hitches here and there, but they were minor. They were not quite major, but they were minor. Something that the ministry can rectify, but success to those who shall be sitting for the exams today. That is day 2 of the exams. Let's talk about something else. Back in business, hope at last. FIFA lifts the ban on football in the country. We can smile. The country can smile yet again. We've been praying for this moment. We've been praying for this situation. We've been hoping that FIFA lifts the ban. And yesterday, at around 2 p.m., 1 p.m. in the afternoon, a statement to the newsroom stating that FIFA has lifted the ban on Kenya took the country into celebration. Football enthusiasts took to various social media platforms just to literally state how happy they are. It has been a long wait for those who love football. It has been a long wait for the athletes who participate in the game. It has been a long wait for the ball boys, or the ball and the girl who literally take part in ensuring that football runs well in the country. The referees also, and at least now Kenya can take part in international football. You could see that we could not take part even in the CAF Champions League. We could not be part of even the CHAN itself tournament. We could not be part of even the AFCON itself. And our referees could not take part in officiating some of the matches in Africa and the world. But it stands at the moment is good news for the country as they move to get things back to normalcy. Sports Cabinet Secretary Bob Namwamba reinstated the expelled Football Kenya Federation National Executive Committee and its Secretariat, and it is good news for the country. Now we're just hoping that we'll be able to bring stakeholders on board to help make the game big, and also should be able to literally ensure that everything is in place to ensure we don't get to the same place in future. But as it stands at the moment, it's all about making football great in the country, lift the ban that was imposed in February. It has been devastating 9 months of sheer waiting and hoping that FIFA was going to lift the ban. But finally, voila, the ban has been lifted. We can enjoy football that is recognized by the world. We can participate in international matches. We can participate in continental tours. And we hope that this is just the start of good days ahead. A big thank you to the CS for Sports, Ababu Namuamba. This means that he means business. He wants to literally make sports great again in the country. Kudos to the CS for the move, for reinstating all the FKF officials as per the FIFA recommendations. Kudos to the CS. And yesterday he also said that he's in talks with the different stakeholders, or we can say that the sponsors, to literally say that football is great in the country. But as I shall be taking the sporting segment, I should talk about what he said in regards to the issues, to the issue to do with rugby that has been there, that came to the limelight on Sunday via a tweet. Let's talk about now another thing that has got the country talking. Court stops GMOs as Linturi disowns Kuria. The GMO talk has been stopped and the brakes has been halted by the court in regards to the GMO itself. And it's a big win for the country, a big win for farmers in the country. And I could say that it has been a saga that has been there. It has been a saga that has seen that a push and pull between the Ministry of Agriculture, but the Ministry of Agriculture has always been silent on the matter. But yesterday, the CS for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, broke the silence and talked about the same issue. Now, it started by CS for Industry and Trade, Moses Kuria. He once came out and said that the government is going to import 10 million duty-free maize. That is where it started. That is where the story started. And it has been ongoing in the country. It has been breaking in the country. But yesterday, the court did bring to stop the issue to do with the importation of GMO itself. And we've been asking questions in the country, like who should be calling the shots? The Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, talked about the same issue. He said it is not up to Moses Kuria to literally talk about the importation of maize. It should be the agriculture docket. And finally, the agriculture docket has talked about the same issue. And the CS for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, has weighed into the matter and has said, first of all, he said that the country or the government will not be, or his ministry is not going to import GMO maize. He also said that where there is a deficit, then it shall involve different stakeholders in making sure that they get to the bottom of this and get a solution that will last. He also said that the farmers should literally defy the 72-hour order by the CS for Industry, that is Moses Kuria, to literally stop hoarding maize, or he shall literally import GMO maize. The minister or the cabinet secretary said that farmers are obliged to literally sell their products at whatever time they want, to whoever they want to sell it to. They are not to be dictated on how to do their business. That is what the CS said. Same cabinet, different script, but the court brings to a halt the GMO issue, the talk that has been there, the push and pull, the cabinet reading from a different script, the members of the Kenya Kwanza side reading for a different script, the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio side reading from the same script, the leader of opposition Raila Amolo Odinga weighing in into the same issue, the Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka weighing into the same issue. That's just to showcase how serious the issue to do with GMO is. It was about what GMO brings on the table as far as health is concerned, what GMO brings to the table as far as the environment is concerned, the ecosystem, our natural coexistence is concerned. But as it stands at the moment, the court has literally brought to a halt the talk. And we hope that before the matter is literally brought back to the limelight, we shall get to see that the government has a better solution to deal with the current issue that is affecting the country, the deficit in the country. Now, let's talk about something else that has also got the country talking. Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about the issue to do with protests. We are to see another year of protests that are being championed by Raila Amolo Odinga. At the center of this is the 4 IEBC commissioners, Juliana Cherera, Irene Mesit, Justus Nyagaya, Francis Wanderi, those who distanced themselves from the results that were announced by the chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, terming the results opaque. Now, there's another development in the country. On Sunday, Raila Amolo Odinga said that he shall be involving Kenyans in weighing in into the matter. He said it shall start by a rally, but later the rally will start and turn into street demos, into riots. But as it stands at the moment, Raila Amolo Odinga said that it will start in Nairobi, and in Nairobi said that the rally will start at Kamukunji. Then after that, they will be heading to Nakuru. After Nakuru, they will be heading to Kisumu, to Kakamega, to just get the views of Kenyans as far as the 4 IEBC commissioners are concerned, whom the president has taken a stand in regards to that, and the president said and termed them rogue. There has been a petition that has been filed at a petition that was tabled, not filed, that was tabled at the August House that is ongoing. The listening is ongoing by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament. Yesterday, Irene Mesit was supposed to appear before the committee, but she did not. And today it will be Juliana Cherera appearing before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, but in the past she said she will not be appearing before the committee. Those representing the lawyers, they have said that the president should be summoned in regards to the tweet that the president said that termed the 4 commissioners rogue. Raila Amolo Odinga is also planning something else in the country. He is planning to meet MPs to stage set for demos, and it is being termed as anti-Ruto meetings. Wiper Party has literally said that they are going to back these meetings. They are saying that they have their Azimio anti-Ruto team have the full backing of the Wiper Party. But the KANU Party, that is also a member of the Azimio team, they say no to the anti-Ruto meetings. President William Ruto yesterday weighed in into the matter. He said that the opposition can literally criticize the doings of the government. The opposition can literally talk about what the government is doing, But staging street demos, staging rallies and riots in the country, that is not the way to go. And the president said he is not going to allow that in the country. Anything that will disturb the peace of the country will be received by the full force of law. The president said that it's about the coexistence that is there among Kenyans at the moment. We've just held a peaceful election that has been recognized by the world, and we are not ready for street demos. And I just talk about the street demos, and they have never been peaceful. There's no day these demos have been peaceful. We've always been seeing in media Raila Amolo Odinga and those allied to Raila Amolo Odinga from back in 2014 and 2017 saying that the demos are going to be peaceful. The demos are going to be, they're not going to involve rioting or this and that. But let's just be open and talk about these issues to do with demos in the country. We've seen it. In 2017, we saw bloodshed as far as demos or street rallies or demonstrations are concerned. There may be peaceful demonstrations. Raila Amolo Odinga always calls for peaceful demonstrations, but it always goes down to those who are members or who take part in these peaceful demonstrations. They always start peaceful till it gets to become a nagging issue, robberies inside the same demos. It becomes violent, fighting inside the same demos, and those in the demos getting into the shops that are close to where they're doing the demos and robbing the owners of these shops. Now, what this will do, it will literally bring to a standstill the move to literally liberalize our economy in the country. How will this happen? The moment the demos will be staged in the country, we will see businesses close in the country simply because business women and businessmen in the country will want to protect their commodities or their stocks or what they own, simply because there have been breakings into shops the moment these demos are staged. So what happens if we have these demos for a week? Then we will see businesses collapsing. And we're just from dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. We're just from dealing with an electioneering period that brought to a halt all these issues. And the country is not ready for the demos. And that is why the president said that he will look into the matter. And what happens with these demos is that the moment the demos are staged, the government literally answers back with retaliation, retaliates that. And how does the government answer this? By literally putting police officers on the roads, on the streets, on the grounds, on the pavements where these demos are taking place. I just break this out. We're just from the electioneering period, and we've had one of the peaceful elections in Kenya's history. But in the lead up to the general election, the government literally did equip itself as far as armory is concerned, as far as putting up and on ways of dealing with any riot. And some of those things that were bought by the government to literally deal with any chaos that will erupt in the country have not been used by the government. And if these demos will be staged, then the government is equipped to literally deal with these demos, simply because whatever the government had planned for during the lead up to the general election was not used. So the government is, we can say that has what it takes to literally bring to a halt these demos. And that is why President William Ruto said that it is so wrong to involve Kenyans in taking part in these demos. It is so wrong to literally disturb the peace of the country at a time when the country is literally enjoying the peace it saw during the general election, and businesses are opening up. We've seen that different prices on beg your pardon, on commodities going down. We've seen that cooking oil prices have decided to go down. A drop in fuel prices, it doesn't matter if it's a shilling or 5 shillings, it has gone down for quite some time. We've seen that an issue to do with the shilling breaking, going down, weakening against the dollar. And if we have another demo, another riot in the country, then we are going to see that go. It will have a negative impact to us as a country. Let's talk about something else in the country. Yesterday, President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta came eye to eye in Nairobi as we are having a third peace talks, just to see if there will be, we could get to a consensus, to an agreement. We could strike a deal that will see the fighting in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo come to an end. Remember, DRC is the new kid on the block as far as the East African community is concerned, and all the leaders in the East African community, talk about Tanzania, talk about Uganda, talk about South Sudan, talk about Burundi, they have literally, and Rwanda, they've literally said they will hold hands together to ensure that peace will be restored in DRC. Now, the talks have been there. We've had the first talk, the second talk, but this time we had a third talk in the country, and the mediator of this talk is none other than former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is at the center of these talks. And it's all about ensuring that peace is restored in the East African community. And the president said that literally he will ensure that Kenya will support restoring peace in DRC. We've seen that there has been a push and pull in DRC. We have had these conspiracy theories, and the biggest question is, who is funding M23 rebels that are disturbing the peace of the eastern side of the Democratic Republic of the Congo? Kenya did send a contingent of 903 KDF soldiers to literally help calm the situation in DRC. The issue has seen the East African community come up with a regional force that will literally head to DRC to help DRC deal with the M23 rebels. But the biggest question, as I've already stated, is who is funding the M23 rebels? Who is at the center of the funding? DRC is known for minerals. DRC is blessed. DRC has quite the number of residents as far as GDP is concerned, but yet still struggles with issues to do with coexistence, peaceful coexistence. At the center of this is what I've mentioned, is the minerals that are found in DRC, and some are saying that someone is funding M23 to just get a hold of the minerals in DRC. We've seen that they have been pointing fingers at each other, that is Rwanda, Uganda, and DRC. DRC saying that maybe Rwanda may be the one that is funding the M23 or Uganda. But Rwanda coming out and saying that no, we are not the one, simply because we are also helping to literally deal with the M23 rebels. This has been an issue that has been affecting DRC for decades. And the president of DRC has always stated that he yearns for peace to come back in DRC. The chairperson of the East African Community, the president of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, was in the country for the talks. And President William Ruto said the country will do everything in their power to see that peace is restored in DRC. As he said that a peaceful DRC is a peaceful Uganda, it's a peaceful Tanzania, it's a peaceful Kenya, it's a peaceful Burundi, it's a peaceful Rwanda. And also say that when we have peace in DRC, then the business in East Africa will be okay. This comes at a time when the East African community is looking for a way to literally remove the barriers that literally are making that those doing business in the countries in East Africa do not get to be halted or do not get to get a block on the way that literally hinders business between between the East African community. Now, Winnie Odinga, an East African member of parliament, Yala member of parliament, recently said that for integration to coexist, for integration to be there, and for East Africa to have a smooth flow of ideas, a smooth flow of business, smooth flow of communication, is that the citizens of all the countries in the East African community should see each other as brothers and sisters. That you and I should see a citizen in Uganda as a brother or a sister, a citizen in DRC as a brother or a sister, same as in Uganda, same as in Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, for us to literally have a mighty East African community. We hope that the talks will yield something. The first talk did not yield. The second peace talk did not yield. We are still counting, still hoping that we shall yield something from the third peace talk. President Uhuru Kenyatta is the center of this. He was instrumental in regards to the Tigray war in Ethiopia. We hope that he will also be instrumental in ensuring that a peace is restored in the eastern part of the Republic of the Congo. Let's talk about something else also this morning that has made it over the page of the Daily Nation. Delayed windfall, 5,000 ICAS jobs. Long wait. Hundreds of President William Ruto's supporters are waiting the short list from the Public Service Commission with bated breath because the position of Chief Administrative Secretary offers them the biggest chance to serve in government. The head of state is staring at yet another appointment crisis. It's all about I want to say that you literally award your lieutenants, your diehard fans. Forget about those who voted for you, your diehard fans, those who stood for you, those who control the masses, those who have the numbers. Some of these people or individuals shelved their ambitions for President William Ruto. Some of them lost in the run-up to the general election itself, and President William Ruto is staring at yet another appointments crisis after 5,000 political bigwigs and August election losers applied for the Chief Administrative Secretary position amid a court battle and growing concerns of a bloated government. Already, President Ruto has created 9 new state departments, which will be manned by 9 new principal secretaries, and has created 30 new state institutions, raising the number to 443. This is even as it emerged that the Public Service Commission was yet to sit and process the shortlisting of the CS applicants, saying it is still working on the backlog it has suspended while the promise processing the PS applications. Appointment crisis for the president. It was a success for the cabinet secretaries, not a success for principal secretaries, as the process was halted because the Law Society of Kenya said it lacks regional balance, and also they also say that it lacks ethical balance in regards to the appointment of those who were shortlisted to take this principal secretary position. Then to this position that was created by President Uhuru Kenyatta to award those who literally supported him, those who were his diehard, was brought to a halt by a labor court in regards to breaking it down. Please state clear, what is the role of a principal secretary and what is the role of a chief administrative secretary? And the issue also involves the Law Society of Kenya that also say that they should be able to break down that issue. What does a principal secretary do and what does a chief administrative secretary do? They say that they do have similar roles. We're also talking about a bloated government. We are trying to literally save some amount, close to 300 billion yearly, to literally finance our huge wage bill, to literally finance the budget itself. But as it stands, the president has clearly created some principal secretary positions, 9 to be precise in number, and also wants the creation of the CS position. But the biggest question is, will we be able to literally pay salaries for these secretaries based on the current situation we are in as a country? Simply because we are having a deficit in so many things. We are operating on supplementary budgets in almost all the state departments and ministries in the country. And that is the biggest question. Do we literally need the CAS positions in the country? Do we need them? That is what everyone is asking in the country. But remember, the CAS and the PS position are a matter that is active in court, whereby now the government has to argue its way so that the matter can literally be heard. Now, another story that is also making headlines in the country this morning: Musalia Mudavadi and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, they have literally joined hands on a fresh plot to maintain a grip of the Western region. Politics against an onslaught from President William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance. Mr. Mudavadi, who is associated with the Amani National Congress, and Mr. Wetangula, who leads Ford Kenya Party, have now ganged up against President Ruto's UDA that is keen on painting the region yellow. In a bid to bolster their influence in the region with close to 2.2 million registered voters, Mr. Mudavadi has been reaching out to legislators from the area, including those from Raila Odinga's Orange Democratic Movement in the August 9th elections. Out of the 30 constituencies spread across Trans Nzoia, Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma and Busia counties, Mr. Odinga's ODM had the highest number of MPs from the region at 15. President William Ruto's UDA had 6, Ford Kenya and ANC and DAPK 5 each, Jubilee 1 and 1 independent member of parliament. The December 8th Bungoma senatorial by-election has given Mr. Mudavadi and Mr. Wetangula an opportunity to face off with Dr. Ruto's under UDA under Kenya Kwanza Alliance as they keep to stamp the authority in the region. ANC and Ford Kenya have already ganged up against the president's party, with the ANC backing the Ford Kenya candidate Wafula Wakoli against UDA's Mwambu Mabonga, the former Bumula member of parliament. Mr. Odinga's Azimio la Umoja Kenya coalition is backing former Kandui member of parliament Wafula Wamonyinyi of Democratic Action Party of Kenya, the DAPK. And as per yesterday, ANC Secretary General Simon Gikuru talked about it, said that the party stands with Mr. Wetangula's Ford Kenya in the by-election. The Mlembe Nation wants to unite. The Mlembe Nation wants to have one voice. And based on what has been breaking for the better part of this week and last week, is all about what the Mlembe Nation wants. Musalia Mudavadi did have a meeting with leaders from the region, and the leaders what they literally wanted is to communicate in one voice. Musalia Mudavadi met leaders from the ODM party. Musalia Mudavadi met leaders from the Jubilee party, the UDA party, those from all the 5 counties in Western. Talking about Trans Nzoia, talking about Busia, talking about Kakamega, talking about Vihiga and Bungoma. They met in Nairobi, and also those leaders who hail from the Mlembe side and are leaders in Nairobi. The main reason why they're meeting is they plan to have a party in 2027 that will literally awaken the voice of the Mlembe nation. There's been an issue as far as the Mlembe nation is concerned, and the leaders from this region have been talking and saying that based on how they have been supporting Raila Amolo Odinga for quite some years, they said it's about time they literally came out in one voice and support and come up with one party. We shall get to see which party will literally swallow the pie, or which party will be able to break and join another party. Will it be the Amani National Congress that is linked to Musalia Mudavadi, whose party leader now is Lamu Governor Emma Timami? And will it be Fort Kenya, whose party leader is Moses Wetangula? Or will it be the DAPK Kenya that will literally break and join Fort Kenya, or join ANC? Or will it be Fort Kenya that will break to join DAPK? Or will it be ANC that will break to join Fort Kenya? That is just something that we shall be keeping tabs on and looking at it, just looking at how it shall be unfolding. Let's talk about sports. How is your team performing in the World Cup? Are you happy? My team is doing quite well. That my 2 African teams also did well yesterday. I'm talking about Cameroon and Ghana. They did well yesterday, performed in a better way. And I can say that I was watching the game between Cameroon yesterday and Serbia, and at a time Serbia were up, but Cameroon, what a way to literally come back and draw. It was a beautiful game that was full of tension. It was a beautiful game that everyone was just up and down of their seats. A game that saw people praying and say, "Dear Lord, come and help us. We need a breakthrough." Then there came a game of Ghana and Korea, a beautiful, beautiful game. The African nations doing us proud there in Qatar. But let's talk about what was happening down back home in the country. The saga surrounding the rugby players. And sports here, Zababu Namwamba said that for Kenya sports to grow, federation must change their way of doing things. Even as Kenya national sevens rugby team Shujaa hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons, Namwamba promised the playing unit that they will get their dues ahead of their World Cup series outgoing. And I will just quote what the CS said. And this is what he said: "I apologize to Kenyans for what has happened. We did not have to get to these. The sports federations need to have strict ways of how to handle their respective teams." End of quote. Do you accept the apology from the CS for sport? He said that he is apologizing to Kenyans for that state. Now, Shujaa restored to begging for funds from Kenyans ahead of the second leg of the 2022-2023 World Rugby Series set for Dubai this coming weekend. But the CS said they will get their dues before that. Let's just get our clubs in order, and let's just be able to make sure that we get to where other nations are as sports is concerned. Let's get to where South Africa is. Let's get to where Nigeria is, where Ghana is, where Morocco is, where Senegal is, without going away, where Tanzania is. Have you ever watched the Tanzanian Premier League. How the stadiums are fell to the brink. Have you ever watched Yanga and Simba playing? It is one of the iconic games in East Africa. Let's go to Rwanda. We've seen TP Mazembe playing. They even have a stadium. Vipers FC in Uganda, they have a stadium. We should be going to that direction. In Kenya, it is only Ulinzi Stars that does have a complex, a stadium. We want to see Gor Mahia doing the same. We want to literally see FC Leopards doing the same. We should be coming up with infrastructure. A team that has been there for decades should be having a stadium. We hope that we'll be living, and I hope I'll live to see FC Leopards and Gor Mahia and other teams in Kenya on stadiums. Now, the World Cup, the games or the matches that will be there tonight or today. Today's matches: Ecuador versus Senegal at 6 p.m. Netherlands versus Qatar, 6 p.m. Iran versus the United States of America at 10 p.m. Wales versus England at 10 p.m. Now, the match I've been looking forward to today, it will be the match between Ecuador and Senegal. Go Team Africa, go Team Senegal. We hope that Senegal will be able to redeem themselves and win this match. By the way, Senegal have to win this match at 6 p.m. And Netherlands versus Qatar. You know, the Qatar are out of the league, out of the World Cup. But you know what? There's a saying that say that there's a way you can always get out of it with your head held high. At least beat someone, at least show the world that you can do it. I hope that Qatar will be able to beat the Dutch so that they can be able to just do justice to their nation, justice to those who are supporting them. Iran versus the United States of America, it's a good game, but I will have to see USA win this one. And Wales versus England, that is the game of the day. And based on the surroundings of it, England and Wales, both of them need to qualify. So I guess that it will be a tight match. May end with a draw, either a 0-0 draw or a 1-1 or 2-2 draw. But hope to see that England wins this one, so that we could be able to see where England gets as far as the 2022 World Cup is concerned. Now that is just it as far as Morning Live is concerned. As far as the local dailies are concerned, I hope that you're up to date with stories that made it top of the page in regards to the demonstrations and what the president said, in regards to the CS positions, in regards to the examinations, and the anti-Ruto meetings are being held in the country, and also the peace talks in Nairobi aimed at ensuring that peace is restored in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Thank you very much for creating time for me this morning as you plan to get out of the house. Ensure that you we can say that warmed up. It's a beautiful weather, but it's chilly, and if you can be able to get a coffee, then that will be amazing. I hope that you have a beautiful day, one that will be coupled with good deeds and success today. Have a good day. My name is Alusa.